Hello, this is Heather Day, and this is the third episode of my podcast, Release Your Phoenix. In this episode, I would like to discuss some things that have come to me pretty strongly recently that I believe a lot of us are dealing with and could use some more tools to help us handle. Many of you may have experienced the way that I did, that as we gain an understanding of what we are and the fluidity of reality and how our beliefs and the way that we show up in the world, our vibrational frequency, the way that these things interact with and create the reality that we see around us, the way that our perceptions create the reality that we see. And as we become aware of these things, we often, as a result, become more aware of our belief systems. And we begin to observe the feelings that creep up, the darkness that kind of creeps up. A lot of times this work is called shadow work because we're shining a light, that higher vibrational frequency and knowledge into these dark spaces to bring them to light. Now, one of the first techniques that most everyone that has this sort of realization starts doing is learning to accept all of the darkness within, all of the feelings that we have, guilt, loneliness, depression, anger, these feelings that pull us really powerfully from our center, from that sort of grounded feeling that we get, or the elated feeling that we get when we're very high vibrational frequency. And acceptance is absolutely key. Radical self-love is absolutely the first step in kind of exorcising these demons, if you will. You know, if you can't fully love yourself and accept yourself exactly as you are, then seeking for it outside of yourself will never suffice. And so what we end up doing is we end up seeing this duality within ourselves of this light and dark. And we can feel when we're so high, and then when the rug is sort of pulled out from underneath us and we kind of slip into this darkness. There's something greater here. There is a gift that is greater to be found in this darkness than just radical self-love and acceptance. These feelings that pull you so powerfully from your center are really very deep emotional wounds. Any feeling that you have that is taking away your power or that triggers you, big or small, is telling you something about the work that you have to be done. And this process is actually never complete. It's a spiral. You go through different layers of understanding and healing in all areas of your life. So that never stops. You'll never stop experiencing some triggers and some feelings. But I believe the goal is to get to a point where you can experience these feelings, accept them, and move through them without them pulling you so powerfully from your center and really just knocking you for a loop. The gift that is being brought to us by this darkness is actually a connection with your inner child, who is really your higher self. You know, your higher self has so many things to teach you about yourself, to guide you to your authenticity so that you can really embody the vibrational frequency and the energy so that you can actually express as the wisdom and love that is you, that is your higher self. There's a meme that sort of replicates this quite well. It has a tree with the roots digging deep into the soil, into the earth, and then it's got the tree at the top with the branches reaching out to the sky. And most of us have seen these or heard these ideas of you can't see the light without the darkness, and the deeper the roots go, the higher the tree can grow. And so these ideas of the deeper you go, the higher you can get vibrationally. And that's not just saying, oh, the more darkness that I have or the more darkness that I've experienced, the more light that I can experience. It's actually the deeper you dive in to that darkness, to explore it and heal it, the higher you can go. The way to do this is by going in and actually exploring the feelings that are underneath this darkness. Oftentimes when we're feeling lonely, it's a lack of our own self-love. If we're feeling guilty, it's a lack of our own self-acceptance and our own forgiveness of self. There are wounds underneath all of these things that you can relate back to something that happened in your childhood. And sometimes it's not something that comes to mind right away. Sometimes it's something that really needs to be sat with and meditated upon. For me, the most powerful way that I have found to gain clarity on any of these feelings that I'm having and also heal those things is through a guided meditation or it doesn't even have to be guided. Once you learn it, you can do it yourself anytime. But it started for me with a guided meditation, where I actually go in and connect with my inner child with the intention of connecting to the version of me that first experienced these feelings. And then really feeling into my body and seeing, where is that pain coming up? Where is that dissonance coming up? Where am I feeling it in my body? Just really getting in tune to that darkness, really allowing myself to feel it and explore it. And then connecting with that child after really feeling what that child or that other version of myself was experiencing, and reparenting that child, reassuring that child through that process. For any of you who have done this, you know that it can be extremely emotional and it's an extremely powerful process. And it creates these incredible shifts in your timeline. You can literally jump timelines by doing this. And it's really, really powerful for changing your habits and for really becoming and feeling whole. What happens when we have this child within us who is fighting for our attention? That child has put on armor because of something that happened at a young age, something that was experienced that armor was necessary for. But they don't know that it's okay to let it go. They don't know the work that you've done. They don't know where you're at. So you have to go in and connect with that inner child and actually reassure them that you're here. And what happens is that child, that inner child is stuck in this lower vibrational frequency. And as you're trying to rise in your vibrational frequency, it's going to keep coming up because it's like an anchor that's kind of keeping you down there, and you're going to keep feeling that pull against that higher vibrational frequency. It's like a shard of your soul is left down here in this darker frequency. So when you actually go down and meet that child there with your higher vibrational frequency and love that child through these issues, reassure them, you can then reintegrate them into your soul and bring them to a higher level with you. And the result of that is that you are able to now feel more grounded and centered as you experience similar triggers, and you find that you're not reacting as strongly to certain things. And this is a process that it's not just a one-time process. I know a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I've done that. Maybe once, maybe twice. No, this is something that you'll continue to come back to. And as you do more work, more things will come up to be released. As we try to gain a higher vibrational frequency, there will still be things that will trigger us. There will still be things that'll come up. And they'll pull us. We'll feel energetically that it'll pull us kind of back down from that light. And this is something that will always sort of be happening as we are moving through this lifetime. This is the reason why we are experiencing this human experience, is so that we can see this duality and use it to our advantage to gain an expanded consciousness and to raise our vibrational frequency. To really get into a frequency in our heart space of love, from operating from that frequency for ourselves and the rest of the world. Part of the operating from that love frequency, I think oftentimes, I know for myself, I have to remind myself it's not just the rest of the world that I need to be viewing through this frequency of love. It's also myself that I need to be viewing through this filter of unconditional love. And so part of the podcast for today is going to be a guided meditation that I will lead you through. That is the meditation that I use for these processes. And I think you'll find it's incredibly powerful and incredibly empowering and healing. So I hope you enjoy the meditation. And I know that you'll be able to find some healing and take back some of your power through this process. And I would love to hear any feedback that you have on it. Until next time.